All right, your hosts, Bobby Maximus, Joe Cebula, and we are here today to talk to you about testosterone. Testosterone is by far the hottest topic in men's health. It's the hottest topic on my social media. It's the hottest topic on TikTok, on YouTube. Every man everywhere is looking how to raise their testosterone, Joe.
Yeah, they are. And there's a lot of just misconception around it and a lot of belief in having finally found the magic pill.
Well, that's what people believe. Now, there's also an increasing, it's actually like a weird dichotomy. On the one hand, you've got all the people who are screaming from the rooftops about how dangerous toxic masculinity is.
Right.
And I think that side's like really overblown. Masculinity isn't toxic. Masculinity isn't inherently bad. These traits that people equate with being masculine. And so you have 10% of people, we'll call it on the left side, that are screaming toxic masculinity. And then you got people, and by the way, I'm not using left and right for political reasons here. I'm just using this for a divide, right? But then on the other hand, you got all the people that are screaming alpha, alpha, alpha. I want to be a real alpha. I want to be the true alpha. I want to be a powerful man on the other side. And they think that the answer is just more testosterone, more trucks, more guns, more G.I. Joes, more
is always better, right?
Steven Seagal movies, like whatever guys are watching that equates with being a man, right? And the answer, what people are really looking for, Joe, is they're really looking, honestly, just to be happy, just to be healthy, just to feel good when they wake up in the morning, just to have a little bit more energy, not to dread Monday. Like, really, that's all anybody wants in life, is to just be fulfilled. Once you get past all the nonsense, people want to be seen, they want to be respected, they want to be heard, and they want to feel good. That's it.
Yeah, and they don't want to compromise on like what they believe either. You know what I mean? Like, they want to be able to hold fast to what they feel is true, and they don't want to be constantly challenged about it.
Yep.
But I think it does create this weird, I don't know, almost like a feedback loop. As you mentioned, like, you know, some people on one side of the argument, some people on the other side, and the stuff they're shouting at each other just feeds their own ideas about what testosterone is all about, what masculinity is all about.
Well, they also don't want to do any work.
Right. And that's the other part of human nature. We want to be fat, lazy, and happy, but we also don't want to have to work to get to that position.
It's so funny when I talk to people. I actually had a guy in my gym tell me this: I don't want abs. I said, that is categorically untrue and a lie, and you know it. So, well, no, I mean, I'm happy with myself. I go, so if I could push a button right now and give you a six-pack, you wouldn't take it? He's like, well, no, I would do that. I go, so you do want abs, you don't want to work for it. And he said, yeah, that's the one. Okay? Because everyone
wants... that at least that's honest. You know what I mean? You know, like, yes, I want $1 billion, but I'm not willing to do what I have to do to get to that point. Well, maybe you don't really want $1 billion, but if you could have $1 billion, you'd take it.
Well, and you've got these men out there. It's funny because I use the watch example, right? You have men that'll work extra shifts. You have men that'll work overtime. You have men that will grind and hustle and sell and go to every sales conference on the planet to try and afford that watch that looks like you're wearing a satellite on your wrist.
Yes. Yep.
So you know that guy's got some work ethic. Yeah. Like, it's not easy to make 500 cold calls a day and try to sell solar panels. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's a hot sales industry for these guys, but it's not easy to do. But you'll do it for the watch. Yet you won't take 30 minutes to go to the gym for yourself. Yeah. Or you won't have the willpower to do X, Y, and Z for your job, but you don't have the willpower to say no to Doritos or to say no to that beer at the end of the day.
Simon Sinek had a really good thing on this. It's like, if you want to get in shape and you're like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And you go to the gym and you work out hard for an hour. What's changed? Like, literally nothing. Nothing has changed. And so you're like, you know what? I'll come back tomorrow and I'll try again. And you work out again the next day. And what's changed? Like, nothing. At the end of a month, maybe you start feeling a little bit different, but you don't look a whole lot different. It takes 6 months. It takes a year till you get to that point. And so there's no guarantee that result is coming. You can't see. The process is so slow. It requires such patience and such commitment with almost no reward until it's there. Versus
because it
buying that watch
so slowly.
Every time I make a sale, I can put a little bit of money in my watch account. You know what I mean? Every time I take that little extra something, I can put a couple extra bucks in that account. And when that number is there, boom, I go get myself that watch. It's
instant gratification.
Exactly. Right? And there's that constant reward along the way. And the fitness thing, there just isn't a constant reward. It's the promise of an award down the line, maybe, if you can stay with it. And that's too hard for people to swallow.
Well, it's kind of like what I always say with McDonald's. If you eat McDonald's every day, you actually feel okay. And by okay, you just don't know how bad you feel. You're just used to feeling bad. It's kind of like with lack of sleep, same thing. You kind of get used to 4 hours, 5 hours sleep a night. And you don't know how life could be any better because you just tolerate it. You learn to deal with the suck.
So, a very good friend of mine, his dad, found out he had this massive tumor in his brain. And they had to go in and take it out. And the doctor was like, he must have been having just absolutely excruciating headaches. I'm like, well, how long has this been going on? For years. And then you think back and you're like, he always was kind of just like an edgy, grumpy. I bet he just did have terrible freaking headaches. But he was just like, this is just what it feels like to be alive.
It's your new normal.
Just used to it. Yeah. And when that was gone, all of a sudden it was like a personality change, And it's like, because now the pain is gone, you can actually relax. But you were so convinced that that's just what it felt like to be alive that you didn't even realize how it affected you. Yeah.
Now it works the other way in inverse, Joe. If you haven't eaten McDonald's in 6 months and you've been eating clean, like you've been doing the thing, we're going to talk about it a little today, but basically you got to pluck it from a tree or murder it, right? If you've been eating a super clean diet and you go to McDonald's, you have gut rot for days. You feel awful. You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, wow, is this how I feel all the time eating this stuff? Or to the lack of sleep thing, because you and I just went on a trip in the hotel. They had that, because you had basically the same room as me, but they had that plug-in LED panel. The curtains didn't quite close all the way. There was a light from the microwave. There was a light from I woke up probably 4 or 5 times a night.
Yeah, what did you tell me? You were yelling at your son. Close the door.
My dreams. Right. But it's actually that is a funny story I should tell. Sometimes my son comes in the room in the middle of the night with the lights on in the hallway. And I woke up in a hotel by myself because of the light. And I'm like, Hunter, shut the damn door. God, I'm in a hotel. But long story short, Joe, I'm exhausted because I didn't sleep. That's normal for a lot of people who don't sleep in blackout environments. For me, I go to bed at 9 o'clock at night at home. I wake up at 6 and it is completely 100% blackout curtains, no lights, nothing. And it's temperature controlled. Like it's set to a precise 67 degrees and I've got my sleep routine. And so I'm just not used to feeling bad and it hits me. But if I would go to that hotel within 2 or 3 weeks, that would become my new normal. This is how I feel. And so you're right. Like by the time you get the benefits from working out, it's weeks down the road, months down the road. So people don't.
And especially if you're coming from nowhere, like if you've been kind of, dabbling, sort of maintaining your fitness, like maybe a little bit different experience. So if you're coming from nothing, it can be much, much more dramatic.
Oh, it can happen really quick. But then guess what happens? You see eye-popping, earth-shattering, infomercial-worthy results in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. You're doing this. And then progress slows because it has to. Yeah. Like I've got to work a solid year to put 5 pounds on my deadlift now. Like that's just how it works. Then you quit because that's when it starts to get hard. And what I notice with men, especially middle-aged men, they go through a cycle and it's and this fits right into testosterone because this is the number one testosterone client. You're 40 years old. You're not getting the respect you deserve at work. And I want you to really listen to this and think, does this sound like you in any way? You're 40 years old. You're not getting the respect you deserve at work. You feel like you're getting passed over for that promotion or that raise. You had a dream when you were younger, Joe. You wanted to trade sports cards. You wanted to paint. You wanted to be a race car driver. You wanted to play in the NBA. You wanted to be a postman. You wanted to be a police officer, a fireman, like the typical kindergarten answers. Like go ask Max.
Yeah.
You know, go ask a little 5-year-old, and my son Hunter, who's 4, go ask them what they want to be when they grow up. I promise you, they're not going to say financial analyst.
Yeah.
Now listen, if you're a financial analyst, listen, no disrespect, you might love your job, but you probably didn't want that growing up. Like, it's probably not your dream. And I do believe that men were not meant to sit at desks all day and look at a computer screen. You're meant to move. You're meant to be strong. You're meant to be active. You're meant to build things.
Yeah.
And so you're in this job. You're not making what you want to make. You're not getting the promotion you want. You're not getting the respect you deserve. And you're kind of unhappy because you're unfulfilled. And then your relationship. And you got a beautiful wife at home. You got 3 kids. And you're up all night with them. And you're driving from soccer practice to ballet practice to gymnastics practice to taekwondo practice to soccer, you know. And you're busy. And you don't have a lot of energy. And let's face it, you're only getting laid once a month.
Mm-hmm.
I think the average, I actually looked this up for the podcast, it's 57 times a year. That's the average, Joe. So there are people that are having more, great.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all age ranges. So there are people probably younger having it more. Then there are people, Joe, they're lucky to get it once a month.
Mm-hmm.
So you're unhappy and you're unfulfilled. Like, let's face it, if you're not having sex 4 times a week, you're probably not happy with your sex life.
Well, and I'll say, as a man, you have a certain set of expectations going into a relationship. And as your marriage becomes rote, as it becomes normal, you're going to have some doubts about yourself. And then you go see, like, you know, Thor, Love and Thunder, and your wife is just like drooling over Chris Hemsworth. And then you're in the mirror looking at yourself like, well, I ain't Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah. And really, Joe, like, we're talking about sex, but it's not even about sex.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, if you're really in tune with your emotions, if you drop the macho act, if you drop the alpha male act, and you just really look at what you're looking for, you just want to be wanted.
Yeah.
You want to be appreciated. You want to feel valued. You want your wife to come in the kitchen and slap your ass and say, thanks for working so hard. Or, wow, you look great today. Like, you just want a bit of recognition. And so now you're in this life and you're kind of bored, Joe. And you don't really have goals. You're working for, again, a corporation that hates you. And you're miserable. And you enter that midlife crisis or that 7-year itch or whatever people want to call it. And I see these guys all the time in my jiu-jitsu academy. And they roll in to try jiu-jitsu, not because they really believe they need to defend themselves, not because they're in love with the sport. On a deep down level, they're just looking to feel alive again. They want to be challenged. They want to push themselves. They want to get beat up a little bit. Like, they just want to feel that something. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like that Fight Club thing, you know?
Yep. Well, that's
just
why that
need to be
so
raw,
big, because every man could relate to that. Like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to be a warrior. I want to be tough. I want to throw myself in the fire a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? Most of them, and it's sad because I see some of them with so much potential, they quit after 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the minute it starts to get hard, and it's usually actually longer than that in jiu-jitsu, it's about a year when they get their blue belt. But when they get their blue belt, now it starts to get hard and the climb begins. And then they're out, and then they're into pickleball.
Yeah.
Then they do pickleball till they get kind of good at it, and it starts getting hard. And then they're into something else, fantasy football. And then they're on every fantasy football podcast or on every website your buddy JP runs, you know, one of the bigger ones. They're doing this. And then they're into something else. But, Joe, they're not looking for jiu-jitsu. They're not looking for pickleball. They're not looking for a new workout program or a Peloton instructor. They're not looking for a new workout program. They're looking for happiness. They're looking for fulfillment. And where does testosterone come in? Because that's going to fix all your problems. You're going to take a needle. You're going to take a cream. You're going to use the armpit deodorant, if that's still a thing, that puts the testosterone in your system. You're going to take the pill, and you're going to feel happy, horny, healthy, productive, and that's going to solve all of your problems. And unfortunately, the way marketing works on the internet, because people don't want to do research, they don't want to spend weeks making a decision, they don't want to do it the right way first, they get you with these hooks and these gimmicks, and it's that hack culture because everyone's looking for a hack. The 3 easy payments and $9.99, the magic pill, and you want your thing. And this is going to be the thing that finally solves all my problems.
Yep.
But there's 2 things here. One, you might not need it. That's number 1. Now you might, and I've got no problem somebody being on TRT if they need it, but you might not. And then number 2, if you do go on it, it's not just going to magically work for you. Like, sure, it's going to make you feel a little better temporarily. But if you're not eating right, you're not sleeping right, you're not working out, you're not going to, I'm glad you referenced him, you're not going to wake up looking like Chris Helmsworth. Like, that's the big myth. People are just going to take steroids or TRT and they're going to look good. That's not true. You have to put in a lot of effort to actually get there. But you're not willing to put in the effort. You just wanted the pill. You just wanted the easy way. That's problematic, Joe.
Yes. Yes, it is. But I think it again, everything sort of feeds everything, right? Like the reason you're feeling down, the reason you feel stuck, the reason that you feel like you're not getting anywhere, that you're running through the muck might have just as much to do with your behavior as anything else. And you may find out that you may be low T. You may be. And maybe if you're drinking like a fish, you're sleeping 5 hours a night, and you've got, your smoke, you don't take care of yourself. What do you think's going to happen to your testosterone levels?
Yeah, not just your testosterone, because if you're listening to this and you're just interested in being healthy, but your testosterone's fine, your anxiety levels, your depression, your health, your happiness. Like, Joe, we brought up the sex life thing with couples.
Mm-hmm.
How are you supposed to have a good sex life when both of you are constantly exhausted?
Yeah.
When you're running on 40%, when you're running on 50%, when you're a little bit short, when you don't have any patience, when you don't have any tolerance, when you don't have anything extra to give, how are you supposed to be romantic?
Yeah.
How are you supposed to rekindle that spark? Like, it's not going to happen.
Well, and this is a great point, because even if you think you need to do that, how are you going to find the energy? How are you going to find the will, the motivation to actually get up and take action? Because one of the problems is when you're not sleeping, when you're not eating right, when you're using too much alcohol, too many drugs, too many whatever else, your motivation is just gone. Your ability to just get up and go and fix things is diminished. And so you're just stuck. And that's where this promise of just take this shot and everything will be all right.
Now where the shot can help. So there's 2 ways to look at that. Our view is do stuff right for 3 to 6 months out the gate, and then decide if you need some help.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about that a lot today, and what to do to increase your testosterone, to feel better, to deal with anxiety, to deal with depression. We're going to talk about it that way. The other way is you can take the shot first to help you break a negative feedback loop, to give you that instant energy that's going to help you do the thing. But then you have to do the thing. You have to be committed to going down the right road, because if you don't, all you're going to do is end up 5 months later, miserable and tired, with just a bigger draw from your bank account, because you've got to buy the stuff every month, right? So here's the deal. You want to increase your testosterone. This just isn't testosterone. I want to say as a blanket rule, Joe, if you go to your doctor, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. If you go to your doctor and you say you have low T, if you say you suffer from anxiety, if you say you suffer from depression, if you say you're sad, if you say you don't feel good or you're unhealthy, and your doctor doesn't ask you about sun, sleep, weights, your steps, 10,000 steps a day or whatever the kids say, if that doctor doesn't ask you about those things, about your alcohol consumption, about your diet, and just writes you a prescription, you don't have a doctor, you have a drug dealer.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we know that these are essential aspects of just baseline health.
Yes.
Exercise, sun, alcohol consumption, food, it all contributes to your heart health, your liver health, your kidney health, your autoimmune health, like all those things, just as a blanket rule. So let's start with that.
And keep in mind too, that the effect of that is a lot like fitness. It's not like you do it one day and suddenly you feel 100% better. You have to be able to stick with that.
Except Joe, I'll actually push back on that. If you're a basement dweller, if you're subterranean, and you've been playing The Legend of Zelda 10 hours a day on your couch, you've been binge watching Netflix, right? You've been watching the new whatever series. You are hooked.
I feel attacked, Bobby. Are you talking to me?
Love is Blind. That's the new hot show on Netflix. That's what everybody's watching. You're just glued to the TV. If after a weekend of behaving like that, I put you in the sun for 40 minutes and gave you a nice workout, you would feel a lot better.
But I don't think you're going to get higher serum testosterone in a day.
No,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely not. You're going to have to work, but I'm saying you would feel better. Like just
I honestly, I think wherever you are right now, if you can get out in the sun, you'll feel better. If you can get some warm sun on your skin, it feels good.
How do you treat your kids? When little Jojo and Max, you're just being a couple of donkeys. They're out of control. They're just wretched. You know the days, because I've been there with Hunter and Jackson being so. When they're being wretched, what does every adult do in the world to the kids? All right, you need some fresh air.
Yep.
Get outside.
Kick them out.
Or go take a nap.
Yeah.
But we forget that as adults. We don't do that for ourselves. You've ate like garbage all day. You need a healthy meal. Like, what fixes all kids, Joe? A nap, some fresh air, and some healthy food.
Yeah.
Or bed early. Like, that's what fixes adults, but we don't do that. But anyway, back to the thing. You're right. It's not going to change your testosterone. It's not going to change your human growth hormone one day.
Yeah, it won't fix your life overnight, but you're on the path.
And it's going to give you the tools to fix your life.
Yes.
Because within 3 days of that, you're feeling a lot more energetic. Your output goes up. It's impossible, not impossible, but it's really hard to do 10,000 steps a day on 4 hours sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. You just want to be on the couch. You know, I traveled all day yesterday, Joe. So did you. I didn't want to work out last night. Like, I did because it's what I do and it's a habit. But man, it would have been so easy to just sit on that couch.
Yeah.
I actually forced myself not to. It's actually, I do this on travel days. I land, I go home, I go for a walk, and then I train. It's like, let me shake these cobwebs off right now.
Yeah.
But back to the script, right? So we're going to give you a list of things to do. So if you go to the doctor and he just writes you a prescription, you have a drug dealer. What I'd like you to do, you're listening to this podcast right now. You're like, all right, I'm in. What's that meme? You son of a bitch, I'm in. Right? Here we go. You listen to this, you want a better relationship, you want to get laid more, you want the promotion, you want the watch, okay, here's how we're going to do it. It's going to start by investing in you every single day. And these are called the 7 S's. Normally, I call these the 7 original testosterone boosters, but we could call these the 7 S's of health, Joe.
All right.
You're going to have to help me remember because I don't have a phone in front of me and I don't want to screw this up. Okay. Right. So the number one thing that you want to do is you want to get sleep.
Sleep.
I'm not going to tell you to go work out. I'm not going to tell you to crush it in the gym. You probably don't have the energy for that. I want you, and by the way, this is the laziest thing you could do. I'm literally asking you to close your beady eyes and sleep longer. So tonight, if you're on the East Coast and you're watching a basketball game and it goes into overtime, shut it off and go to bed. You don't need to watch a regular season Milwaukee Bucks game that bad. You know what I mean, Joe?
I do, but I also understand the desire to stay engaged in it. But
yeah, I get it.
Here's the other thing. If you and I put a post up online, hey, you want to help your fitness sleep more? What's the first comment that's going to come through?
I don't have time.
No, sleep is for the weaklings out there, right? Like everybody pushes back. 4:30. Sleeping in the no alcohol one, you will always get pushback. As soon as you say no alcohol, people are like, I'm out. Well, it's like, well, then you've chosen your fate. So shut up about everything else.
Rise and grind, 4:30 a.m., get some. That is a one-way ticket to being tired for me.
Yeah, unless you're going to bed at 6 o'clock.
Now listen, there's a certain personality that works for. Me, I actually go the other way. I want you to sleep more. I want you to wake up without an alarm clock. We'll get your workout in sometime in the day. But I want you to, and by the way, I'll contradict this in about 2 minutes when I'm talking about working out, but you just need more sleep. Yeah. You absolutely need more sleep. And if it takes going to bed at 9:30, you're going to bed at 9:30. Like Joe, for example, We had to be on set the other day at 9 a.m.
Yep.
So I know for me to get a solid breakfast in, for me to do a little bit of work, for me to do everything I need to do, I need to be up by 7. It's lights out, not even at 11, because if it's lights out at 11, I don't fall asleep till 11:15 or whatever. Yeah. I was in bed at 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened? I woke up at 6:30 without an alarm clock. I felt good.
Yeah.
Like that's what you want to do. That's the way to run it. So just count backwards. Whatever time you got to be up without, you can set an alarm clock if you want, but just go to bed like 8.5 hours earlier than that. Yeah. I'd even rather you, Joe. I know some people like Ben Greenfield will be like, you shouldn't have a TV or plastics in your room or like, and I get it, right? That in a perfect world, yes. But I would rather you lay in your bed with the lights off watching the basketball game than being in the living room with the lights on and up and down or at a bar or whatever. So just get in bed. So you're going to get more sleep. Now, what this is going to do, it's going to give you a platform of energy.
Yeah.
If you're sleeping that much, you're going to have the energy to work out. You're going to have the energy to take the stairs. You're going to be more alert. You're going to be happier. And you want to get laid more, you're going to be nicer to your wife. And if she's
you're going to have so much more resilience to deal with other people's bullshit too.
Yep.
Like water off a duck's back when you get enough sleep.
And cut your excuses. Like I get it. You have a 3-year-old. You don't have a 3-year-old for 30 years of your life. I mean, I guess some people do who have like 19 kids or whatever, like Jay Cutler. But like you or Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is not Jay Cutler. Phillip Rivers is the one with like, he can field like a whole offense right now. He's got like 12 kids. Okay, so if Phillip Rivers tells me he can't sleep because he's got a newborn, I get it. But like you have a very limited time where you can use that excuse, Joe.
Well, and even so, you're not unique in that.
Yeah.
You know, like people have been having kids as long as people have been around. That's why we're still here. So that's not unique. That's not a problem that just landed on your lap. Everybody's got to figure that out. So you can't use it as an excuse. It's understandable. I've been there. I know what it feels like when you bring a newborn home, right? Like I get it, but at the same time, I honestly believe that if everybody in the world would just cut their bullshit about sleep, set their life up so that they could wake up without an alarm clock. And I don't care if you're doing shift work. I don't care if you got to be up at the crack of dawn. If you can get your life right to the point where you're not using an alarm clock, we would have something like world peace. I don't think there would be
way better.
I think our healthcare costs would diminish. I think the world would just be such a better place on just that one thing.
You're less
but if
triggered.
You tell someone to do that, they will fight you tooth and nail to say that it can't be.
You got to remember, Joe. You got to remember, they don't want that.
No.
Like, it's funny. Like, I hear these guys talk, right? They want you broke. They want to manipulate you. They want to control you. It's like, part of that, I'm like, who's they? Like, put on your tinfoil hat and go away. But at the same token, there's no money in sleep.
Yeah.
Right? Like there is, I guess, Ambien, but it's dirt cheap. Like pharmaceutical companies aren't making money on sleep, so they don't want you to do that. They want you sick. That's how they make money. I was actually watching a really interesting thing on Joe Rogan the other day. It was a clip about how therapists don't want clients who are schizophrenic and bipolar. It's way too much work. You know who they want? The 15-year-old kid with rich parents who has a little bit of social anxiety. They pay their bills on time. It's not really a hard job. You're not worried about getting stabbed with scissors in the middle of an appointment. Like you want, am I right or not?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but I mean, that's true of every profession. You know what I mean? Like we want the easy people who can pay well, you know?
Yep. And that's it, Joe. Like that's what people want. So on that premise, sleep more. You need to get sleep. You'll set yourself up for success.
Yes. So cut your shit and go to bed.
Okay. The number 2 thing, get some sunshine. Sunshine will make you feel remarkably better. You want to do an experiment, stay in your basement for an entire weekend and just tell me how bad you feel after. Like fresh air and sun feels so good. And we can go down the science rabbit hole of all the vitamin D and all the things that sun do. And there's people that stand in the grass to ground themselves with Mother Earth and blah, 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 blah. I'm not even going to say sunlight. Get some fresh air. But we call it outside because it's the 7 S's. So we've got sleep and we've got sun.
Sleep and sun.
Number 3, steps.
I
I just want more activity. Notice, Joe, we haven't even talked about working out yet.
Not yet.
All I want you
it's
to
not.
do
It's
is
not
walk.
the top. I was going to say not the top priority.
Yeah. If it's the choice between the stairs or the elevator, take the stairs. If it's a choice between the escalator or the stairs, take the stairs. Just get extra steps. And it's funny because my 7-year-old, he's obsessed with steps. We got him a little watch and it's got steps on it. And he found it on his little watch. What it's called, Joe, it's actually a gizmo. And
yeah, you were telling me about this.
It's basically like a watch where he can call his mom and he can call me. And we can call him. And it picks up automatically after 2 rings. So he's kind of forced to answer so we can listen in on where he is. You know what I mean? Because we're like helicopter parents or whatever. But anyway.
Well, and if you knowing your son, it's good to have some surveillance.
Yeah, he needs some restraints. But here's the thing. He's got a steps counter and he started playing with it the other day and he's just walking around. He's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Within like 2 minutes, the dude's at like 500.
Yeah.
500. Then it's like 700. And it's like 1,000. I'm like, oh my God, he's just like getting all these steps like super fast. It's not that hard really to get 10,000 steps. It sounds like a lot, but it's literally like, just be more active. Just be on your feet. Just move. When you're on the phone for an hour, walk. If you're talking to your buddy about fantasy football, about who you're going to draft. Or me, I call my buddy Joe Cebula. We talk on the phone a lot.
And I pace around the house.
He's all on his feelings. Did you see what the Packers did? Here we go with the Green Bay stuff. Can I, off topic though, why don't I hear you have the same fervent, like, lust for the Milwaukee Bucks and the Milwaukee Brewers? Is it just you don't like those sports?
It's a complicated relationship.
Okay,
I
fair.
go way back with the Brewers.
All right. So here's the deal though. If we're going to talk for an hour about the Green Bay Packers draft choices, why can't you be walking around the block while we do that?
Yeah, exactly. And I want to bring us back to something.
Steps right there.
You said this earlier. You said that we're meant to like build something. We're meant to do something. We're not meant to just sit still. And this is a true thing in counseling. When counselors are working with male clients, rather than have them sit on a couch and talk about their feelings, it's more successful to go for a walk. Because when you're moving, you start relaxing, you start opening up, you start dealing with things. You need to be active. You need to find things to do. So if you're at work, you're sitting at a desk all day and you've got a meeting, put on the headset and just pace. I used to walk. There was I used to work in this like kind of a call center sort of a thing. It was a housing counseling during the big bubble burst. And so I had this cubicle and it was right next to the boardroom that we had with the big table where we would have like our team meeting. I used to go do laps around that table while I was talking to people on the phone. And it's just when you get into it, like you're more focused, you're more coherent, you're more active, you're more problem solving when you're up and you're moving. When you sit down, you just shut down.
This is going to be a weird rabbit hole, Joe.
Yeah.
But there was a thing I was reading the other day that they have a hard time getting men to go to church.
Yeah.
It's like the male numbers are declining or whatever, right? You want to know how to get men to go to church? You're not going to sit in a pew and listen to some guy tell you how to live your life. What we're going to do is we're going to go raise a barn. We're going to go build something. We're going to do like an improvement project on the church. And as you're roofing, as you're hanging drywall, as you're doing whatever, as a group, that's when the pastor's going to like feed you some of the Jesus sauce. That's when he's going to tell you like the lesson of the day.
Think about the biblical stories. Where was Jesus preaching from? Like the top of some freaking mountain. So if you wanted to go hear the dude preach, you had to climb a mountain to get up there.
This is what gets men involved. It's why those retreats are so big. Not men sitting around in a circle telling each other about their feelings. You show up at the retreat and you got to build your lodging quarters.
Yeah.
You got to put up your own tent. You got to go fetch your water. This is what men respond to. So like move. But let's get outside. Let's get some sun. So we got sleep. We got sun. Sorry, I backtrack. We got steps. You got to move. You got to be active. All right. So we got steps. The third, steak. You need red meat. There's all kinds of studies on this. And it's funny because Beyond Meats, their whole stock is just tanking. The Impossible Burger, like that was hot for a minute, but humans need meat. You absolutely 100% need it. If you can't get the steak in, and if you have a moral objection to it, I understand. I'm not going to judge you. But then at the very least, you got to get some animal product. You got to get eggs. You got to get milk. And I'm going to say, Joe, an egg is as good as a piece of steak. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you have to have a piece of red meat if you don't like red meat or you have an objection to killing an animal.
Honestly, a fish, if you want to do, the vegan approach to things, that's fine. Just make sure you're getting that protein is the really important thing.
But animal stuff, it just makes your testosterone higher.
Yeah. Well, it's what we're evolved to do, right? Like human beings were not meant to be sedentary creatures. We've been saying this whole podcast. You're not meant to sit all day long. If you were going to survive as a caveman, you had to go out and you had to fight and you had to kill things. And there was physical activity involved in that.
I'm dead set against a pure vegan diet. I don't think it's healthy for you at all.
Agreed.
But again, if you have a moral objection, I get it. But then get some whey protein, get some eggs, and get off your high horse about, well, dairy cows are treated inhumane. I understand what you're saying, but then you're going to a Walmart and you're buying your clothes.
Or you're driving around in your Tesla with its lithium battery that was sourced from Sierra Leone.
The Congo. And how many people that like you gotta draw a line. So stop. Get some whey protein. And by the way, Joe, you can buy whey protein. Your morals are so important to you. You can buy whey protein that's only sourced from ethically raised cows.
Yeah.
If you don't like the way chickens are treated by big eggs companies, I get it. You can have a chicken coop in your backyard. But Bobby, that's way too much work.
Well, then shut up.
I don't want to hear it, right? But you need some steak. So that's number 4, Joe. Number 5, now we're going to talk about working out. I want some squats. I want you to move your body. And by squats, I mean I want you to lift some heavy-ass weight.
Yeah.
Not talking about Ronnie Coleman heavy-ass weight. Just lift heavy. And I don't want you to hurt yourself. You don't need to go for a 1-rep max. You don't need to deadlift 5 plates aside.
Let's talk about Ronnie Coleman, because I think this is a really good, teachable moment. Because Ronnie Coleman didn't just wake up back squatting 800 pounds. It's not like he was just born and then he was squatting that much. And it's not like he was chasing heavy weight. He was not a competitive power lifter. So how did Ronnie Coleman get so unbelievably strong? It's because he showed up and he worked out every day for years and years and years without missing. And he was constantly under load. And guess what happens? You get pretty good at the things you repeatedly do.
So I was just looking something up. Basic resistance training will increase your testosterone.
Yep.
Just basic resistance training. I just wanted to make sure I was right on that. I say squats because it's trendy because I got my 7 S's. Yep. But it doesn't have to be 7 S's. But you just got to lift some weight. And by the way, it can be body weight stuff.
Yeah.
You know why people
maybe instead of squats, let's call it sweat.
Yeah, sweat. You got to work out.
Got to sweat. You got to move load.
Next, sprints. You got to do some form of cardiovascular activity. You got to work your heart. Now, true hard sprints will increase your testosterone. But we're not just worried about testosterone. I'm worried about your cardiovascular health. Cardiovascular health will help you sleep better. It'll help your mind be clear. It'll help with stress relief. It'll help with heart disease. Like you want to have some level of, I get it's a joke. Hey, I skip cardio. I lift weights faster.
Yeah.
I don't want to do cardio. I guess every gym bro hates cardio, but you need some form of cardio. You need some form of sprints.
Well, there is a connection between testosterone levels and heart health.
Yep.
If it's really low, there's some heart problems. If it's really high, there's some heart problems. It's all within a range. Higher isn't necessarily better. You need to be within that healthy window.
I'm going to tell you this right now. There's no people listening to this podcast that are going to be doing too much cardio.
Right.
Like to get to the too high version, Joe, you're an elite level marathoner. And I say nobody, maybe there is somebody like an El Garouche who won the 1600 in the Olympics. Maybe he's listening right now. Maybe Mo Farah, maybe the greatest 5K and 10K runner of all time. Mo, maybe you're listening and you're like, well, I'm a fan of the Maximus podcast. Maybe Ryan Hall's listening, who is an elite level. I actually know Ryan, so he might be listening. We worked with a company together. But like maybe Ryan's listening and he's like, hey, dude, like I run excessively. Okay. But probably not. It's probably not you. Like even if you run.
We touched on this in the last episode too. Like at a certain point when you're competitive, when you're training for a sport, you're giving up health.
You're giving up health.
You're sacrificing health for performance. And that's a different thing. Like there is, like you said, maybe there's a few, but there are very, very few people listening to this for whom that's going to apply. Everybody else, like you need more cardio in your life.
Ryan Hall, side note, told me the greatest thing of all time.
What's that?
If you don't run 70 miles a week, you don't need a program.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
I remember talking about this with you now.
Yep. Okay. So like if this is you and you're only putting 30 miles in a week, you're not in danger from doing too much cardio. So let's just, when they say that, it's
my
not
gains,
you.
bro.
Yeah, it's not you. Okay, Joe. And the final one, I go back and forth. Like I want to say sauna because I love the sauna and I think everyone should have one. The Russians, the Finnish people, Native Americans with sweat huts. Like we've been doing this for thousands of years. And I think everyone should look at a sauna. Like it's funny when you build a house, you got to have a stove, got to have a fridge, right? You got to have these things. You got to have a big screen TV. Go get yourself a sauna. And the reason I bring up those things, because people say I don't have money for that, but you had money for an 80-inch TV for $3,000. You had money for a PlayStation 5. Everyone should have a sauna. It would change your life. But I go back and forth with this because I get how that might be excessive, how you're listening to this podcast. And like, what are things I can do today? Because if you got to order a sauna, it's not coming to your house for 8 weeks. You got to put it together. Like, okay, so let's scrap that.
Worst case scenario, $200, you can buy one of those little portable ones off Amazon. At least you've got something.
No, Joe, I actually got a better one for you.
What's that?
I'm going to look it up right now so I get my numbers right. Now, I want to be clear. I just saw this the other day. I want to be clear that these people do not pay me in any way, shape, or form. So it's called Redwoods Outdoors Company. I see their sauna ads all the time. And I'm actually going to show you. We're going to shop now, Joe.
All right.
Look at that beautiful barrel sauna.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little glass front. Oh, I get to sign up and save $150. There you go. I'm saving you money already. Let's go. We're going to shop saunas. And, okay, so Joe, here's one for $4,999, but it's a little $5,999, $6,500, $7,500, $6,500, $6,500. I'm going to go for one of the lower grade ones because I don't think you need to break the bank.
Right.
So let's go $5,500. It's a thermowood barrel sauna, 6-person.
That's a 6-person sauna. That's like a party sauna.
Okay, well, check this out. It's $5,500. You want to put it on your credit card right now. But using Affirm, you can get it $195 a month with 0% interest. So yeah, you're going to be paying off in a while, but $195 a month. How important is your health to you? Because I'll promise you, you spend more than that at Starbucks. You spend more than that on your fantasy football tips. You spend more than that on your streaming services. You spend more. A lot of you people out there spend more of that on soda.
Yeah.
You're like a $2 a day, $3 a day, $9 a day, 120 ounce, 1 gallon, 9 liter habit. Like
what's important to you, you know?
And a sauna. But the easier one, Joe, just use real salt. Get more salt.
Yes.
Real salt. Because if you're eating healthy, you might be a little deficient. By healthy, I'm not talking about Stouffer's lean cuisine dinners. That's loaded with sodium.
No. Here's the deal with this. This is such a true thing because it's you get sort of a double whammy when you start eating clean, right? One, you're not eating food that's been fortified with sodium, right? They take all the fat out of everything, so everything has to be low fat. Something's got to be in it to help preserve it. Well, guess what? Salt is a preservative. So when you look at something that comes in a box and you look at the nutrition label, the amount of sodium in there is outrageous. When you cut all of that out of your diet and you're eating lean proteins, you got your chicken breast, your steak, your eggs, right? Some fish. There's not a lot of salt in that, right?
Well, that's what happened to your guy, Rob Wolf.
Exactly, right? And then you're eating nothing but like fruits and vegetables. Guess what? Ain't a lot of salt in it. And then you're working out. You're doing jits. You're doing CrossFit. You're lifting weights. You're running more. What are you doing? You're sweating. And what's happening?
Amazing.
Salt. And you end up deficient. This was me a couple years back. I did the straight up like full on carnivore diet, and I was having brain fog. I was cramping. Like I would like try to flex my arm, and my arm would cramp. And it was like, there's something missing here. And it turns out it was salt. And when I started adding salt back in, I felt like a whole new person.
Not iodized table salt. Like right. I'm talking real salt. Like go get yourself some Himalayan pink rock salt. If you're bougie like me, I import this salt from the island of Cyprus. It's black lava salt. It's been aged for thousands of years. You know what I mean, Joe? I like the fancy stuff. But get yourself some good salt. A good brand's right out here at Salt Lake. It's from Redmond Farms. It's called Real Salt. Mm-hmm. It's from real salt mines. There's nothing added. It's not processed. Malden makes a really good salt. It's a chef's choice. These flakes. Whenever I'm feeling a little bit low, if I just put a little bit of extra salt on my food, it's like an instant, it's almost better than caffeine in ways. Like I feel a lot better. And that's why Rob Wolf invented the LMNT supplement.
Yeah, the element stuff is good because it's not just salt, but it has magnesium and potassium. So it's just meant as an electrolyte replacement. But it's designed with athletes in mind.
And what's his story about that, right? Because he was hardcore into paleo diet, and he was hardcore into CrossFit style workouts. And he was finding himself super depleted. And that's how he came to invent the LMNT, because he's just like, I need some electrolytes. Yep. And when we say electrolytes, we're not talking about Gatorade. No. It's actually really funny. If you read the science, because back in the day when I was writing the Jim Jones seminar manual stuff, the Gatorade Institute actually has some awesome hydration stuff.
Yeah, for real.
But the Gatorade that's sold.
Well, so here's the deal, right?
So much.
So what the Gatorade company invented was basically a light salt water to give athletes. Yeah. And so when you're looking at the NFL and they're on the sideline, they're not drinking the crap that you buy at the gas station. But if you put that salt water in the gas station, it won't sell.
No.
So they reduced the sodium down to a trace amount, and then they added in a bunch of sugar to make it sweet so that it would be like drinking Kool-Aid.
Joe, it's soda. Let's call it what it is. It's uncarbonated.
I call it Kool-Aid. It's sugar water.
I like that. And that's why most of you look like the Kool-Aid man. Just busting up through a wall.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say fat on here because we might get canceled by the podcast, but let's be real. You know what I mean? I was actually laughing, Joe. It's so different, between how men talk to, men talk to men and women talk to women. So the other day, a girl in the gym asked another girl, she's like, am I fat? She's like, no, you look beautiful. Then my buddy Ryan, and I was waiting to lay this on him. He's like, man, do I look fat? I'm like, bro, I know 5 fat people and you're 4 of them. He's like,
that was coming. I love it.
It's my favorite line to hit people with. If you would have asked me, hey, you think I put on some weight, Joe? I know 5 fat people. You're 4 of them.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for being honest.
Get your salt. So listen, if you want this, and we'll wrap this up by saying this, you want your testosterone to go up and you want your health to be better. More sleep, more sun, more steps, more salt, more heavy lifting, right? Some squats. We want some sprints. We want some saunas. Now we're at 8, 9, 10. Just do a bunch of this stuff to make yourself healthy.
Well, and just like I mentioned earlier, all the bad stuff that you do sort of feeds that feedback loop. All the good stuff does as well. So when you're getting enough sleep, when you're getting enough salt, your hydration is going to be better. Your nutrition is going to be better.
Stuff, Joe.
You won't be this was very true for me. Those late night carb cravings were out of control when I had no carbs in my system. When I added salt, went away. Didn't need
Yeah,
it.
but also when you're tired, Joe, because when I'm exhausted and it's 8 at night, I'm just looking for like a bag of comfort tips.
Yeah. Just that
Not when I
quick,
feel
easy
good.
energy. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So do all these things. My recommendation, give yourself 3 months. I would say 6. Sounds like a lot. I just want you to do 90 days. You can do any 90 thing for 90 days. Listen, you've been married for 10 years. You've risen to the top of the corporate world. You've done your job. You've earned the big fancy watch and the big truck. You've earned the vacation. Like, I get it. You can do 90 days. Give yourself some credit. You're not lazy. Other facets of your life, if you're listening to this, other facets of your life have proven that you're not lazy and you're capable of doing this. I know you are. Do this for 90 days. Get a blood test to start. See what your testosterone's at. It's at 200, 300, 350. Be patient. Give it 3 months. Do this religiously. And I would do this before I went on any medication, by the way, Joe. I would try to do it holistically first. I'm not a hippie, but I would try to do it holistically first. Let's try to fix this.
Yeah.
Right? So what I want you to do is do this for 90 days. And then see what your testosterone's at and see how you feel. And 98% of you will feel way better. You'll look way better. Because you're investing in yourself, your wife will notice, your wife will compliment you more. You'll be making more money at work. You'll have more energy at work. Your boss will notice. You'll get more respect because you look better in a suit. You might decide that you don't need it. 98% of you, that's the road that you'll go down.
Yeah.
If your testosterone is at 300, it might say 600. It might say 550. You'll be at a good level. And if that happens to you, give me another 3 months. Because then you'll be hooked. You've seen the value now. 3 months is enough. Now give me 6 and see how you feel. And it's going to be, by the way, the second 3 months will be way easier than the first 3 months. Because now it's a habit. Now you're used to it. Now it's your new normal. And when you go back to eating bad for a day, because it's President's Day, it's Memorial Day, it's July the 4th, you'll feel like trash. You'll be like, I don't want to feel like that anymore.
Yeah.
Now, the other side of the coin for the 2%ers out there, and I'm not talking the 2%ers in terms of this is a good thing, this is a bad thing. You might have a real problem.
Yeah.
Well, now get a good doctor and go on testosterone. Yes, I said it. The guy that hates TRT.
Just talk to your physician about it and tell him, for 3 months, I have taken a walk every day. I have eaten clean. I have done this. I have done this. I have done this. And here's where I'm at. And your doctor's going to be able to look at you with a straight face and say, maybe we should consider some options.
Yep. And go to a doctor that understands, not your GP. Go to a real doctor that understands. There's companies out there that do it. Go to a real doctor.
Yeah,
that
don't do this on your own. Don't just start buying shit online without any medical supervision.
We have a friend, Dr. Amy Horniman,
doctor,
who's one of the leaders in this field worldwide. Get a good hormone doctor, and then get your HGH, get your testosterone, get whatever you need. But here's the deal. The kicker is, and this is where it all ties up with a nice, neat little bow, Joe. You've spent 3 months developing those really good habits, which you're going to need to do anyway.
Yeah.
And it's going to be easier. And so now, rather than having to take a maximum dose, you can take a minimum dose.
Well, think of this, right? Like I'll pick on diabetics for this one, right? Because sugar is such an important thing. You can get on your insulin, get on your diabetic treatment, your metformin, whatever else it is that you need to be taking, and then completely ignore your disease, right? Like you can just eat all the crap food you want, and then all you have to do is just shoot yourself up with more and more insulin. This is a bad freaking idea. This is a really unhealthy thing to do. You need to tighten things up to minimize your need for that extra dose. You have to be even more careful about what you eat because of that condition. And it's the same with this. Yep. You can't just smoke and drink and then expect not to have also heart disease or liver problems, like these things go hand in hand. You have to be able to do what you can do, whether you're on medication or not. It's not magic.
I don't know if it's still online, Joe, but I'm going to look it up for the podcast. This is how we're going to end.
All right.
It's my favorite health calculator of all time. It used to be up on the internet for the kids that don't know, the kids that came here from the from the kids' social media sites. Fish
It's
oil calculator.
Oh, yes.
Here we go. This was all the range.
You need to drink 4 gallons of fish oil a day. That's the key.
I don't think it's up anymore, Joe, and it was so good. Like there's calculators I'm finding to do it on body weight, but this thing used to do it. So basically the premise, because I don't think I'm going to be able to find it, is, Joe, you would basically put in how many alcoholic beverages you had a week, how much sugar you had, how much, and you had to figure out how much fish oil you had to take to undo the damage.
Well, because all that omega-6, right? That's the thing. It's these omega-6 just builds up when you're eating processed meats, when you're eating processed foods, when you're drinking alcohol, you're just flooding your system with this omega-6. So rather than cut out the omega-6, you just had to hyperdose omega-3s to like balance that out. And so that was the idea of like your omega-6 are 10 times too high. So we need to elevate your omega-3s 10 times. And you would end up taking like 5,000 milligrams of fish oil a day or 10,000 milligrams a day. It's like just drinking glasses of the stuff.
Yeah, it's like
anything other than fixing your behavior, right? It can't possibly have anything to do with your health.
Yep.
I want to be able to behave how I want to behave with absolute reckless abandon and no self-control and face no consequences for it. Does that sound healthy? I don't think so. Have some discipline.
I can't find it, but that was the point. Like I would put it in. I'm like, okay, I eat 2,000 grams of sugar a day. I have 19 drinks. Okay.
Yeah,
if I have
all you got to do.
If I have 379 pills tonight, I'm good to go. That's not what I want you to do. Like you can't just hypercorrect like that. Like, I had McDonald's 3 times yesterday. I'm going to work out extra hard today. No, it doesn't work like that. So listen, to wrap this up, you really want your testosterone to be higher. You want your health to be better. And by the way, we're not just talking about testosterone. It's just underlying health. Then do these things. Do them for 90 days. You'll feel a lot better. You might discover you don't need help. And if you do need help, there's absolutely zero shame in that. Go get the help you need. But you're going to have to do this stuff anyway. Don't be the person eating a bag of Swedish fish and then shooting up insulin. Like that's just not a good way to live.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to do. You want to be an alpha. You want to be better at work. You want to get laid more. You want the respect you deserve. Like this is where it all starts. And by the way, Joe, I am not too embarrassed to say that subconsciously I'm very aware I respect fit people more.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be a judgment, right? But
well, honestly, it shouldn't even be a concern because people should just be taking care of themselves.
Yeah. But we all do it. When you see somebody walk into a room with a suit and they look a little bit more put together, you're going to perk up a little more. You're going to listen more. You want your wife to be attracted to you? Guys, listen up. This goes for the women too, but guys, listen up. My wife doesn't touch me. You got to give her something that she wants to touch.
Amen. Right. And then we touched on this in the last podcast. You want to be an alpha. You have to treat yourself with the level of respect that you want to get from other people. So if you keep throwing yourself to the side, you keep feeding yourself garbage, you keep your bad behaviors up, what do you think other people are going to do? They're going to respect you for it?
Let's see. So back to Thor for the Love and Thunder. Because we're going to take it. I really want to take it past an hour today just to say we did it, Joe. There's a reason your wife drools over Chris Helmsworth. There is a reason your wife wants to rub herself all over the Rock's bald head. You like that? Just a little inflammatory, a little trigger for the guys out there. There is a reason your wife really loves Sam Heughan in the Outlander series. Sam's a good-looking guy. I'm actually friends with Sam. Sam's a really handsome man. There's a reason our friend Tom Hopper is always cast as like the romantic dreamboat. There's a reason why you might be able to get your wife to watch an episode of The Witcher with you because she can see Henry Cavill with the show. Like there's a reason she likes these guys.
Yeah.
She wasn't watching the Beverly Hills Ninja and lusting after Chris Farley. I'm just
I wasn't ready for that reference. That's good.
right. She's not lusting after Seth Rogen. She's not lusting after, like, there's a reason your wife's attracted to this. So let's just put it out there. You want to get laid more? Give her something that she wants to lay.
Yeah.
Like clean yourself up a little bit. Lose your gut.
Well, and give yourself some credit. She freaking married you. You know what I mean? Like, she chose you just as you chose her. So just be worthy of that.
What does that say about you when she married you, when she took you off the lot? You were clean shaven.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, there's nothing wrong with a nice beard, but like you got oil in your beard and you got like whatever. And you dressed a little bit sharp and you wore some form-fitting stuff and you put your best foot forward. And then fast forward 6 years.
Yeah, 2 kids later.
And you're wearing those dad sweatpants. You know what I'm talking about?
And your New Balance sneakers.
Saturday morning with the New Balance sneakers with a shirt with a stain on it. Like, do you really think she wants you when that's like what you put forward? And it's funny, Joe. One more story for you. You want to get a middle-aged man or a middle-aged woman in shape? You know what the number one thing to do to get them in shape is?
What's that?
Get them a good old-fashioned divorce.
Oh, yeah. Geez. So that threat of being back on the market, right? Yeah.
Here's what happens. You got the mom who's 30 pounds overweight. She dresses kind of frumpy. She's got no makeup. Her hair's all frizzied out. She gets divorced 3 weeks later. She's doing Pilates. She's doing yoga. She's working out. She's running. She's eating healthy. She's on the treadmill. She shows up to, you see the moms, like they come in like at your gymnastics class or whatever. Then all of a sudden they're walking in and they got perfume and nice clothes on and they lost 30 pounds and the hair is done. You're on the market.
You can tell when a divorce is coming just based on that.
Right? And guys too. Guys, literally, I have watched men, no exaggeration whatsoever, Joe, go from 5'6", fat and balding, from like George Costanza in Seinfeld. And if you're too young to know that reference, look it up. And 6 weeks later, they're looking like Dolph Lundgren and Rocky. They're 6'3", blue eyes, blonde hair, abs, beautiful pecs.
And confident, just confident.
Shit, I think Dolph Lundgren in his prime, I wanted to rub myself all over that man. Like, they'll go from short, fat, overweight, and bald to Thor, Love and Thunder in like 6 weeks, Joe.
Yep. Motivation.
What happened? Oh, well, you get divorced. I see. So now you got to attract something else. So why weren't you doing that all along?
Yeah, exactly. Is your spouse not worth it to you? You know, they should be.
You got to give her something to want. Like and by the way, because guys don't have lingerie, your form of lingerie, that's your body.
Yeah.
That's how you take care of this. Like, there's nothing, I don't think there's anything hotter than a beautiful, athletic, half-naked body, Joe. You walk in a room with that, oh, trust me, she's going to notice, guys. So that's it. There is your testosterone. There is your path to being the alpha you really want to be. But more importantly, there's your path to being healthy and happy. That's what you really want. Your path to just being seen, right? Because that's what we all want. So thanks for stopping by for another edition of the podcast. Joe, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure. I talk to you way too much, but I kind of like it. So we're good. And listen, here's the deal, guys. One more thing. We got to plug this. If you want to get in shape, don't be too proud. We all need a little bit of help. You need a little bit of help from two of the best in the world to do it. Then download the Ladder app. Join Team Maximus. We'll give you 7 days free. You don't need a credit card. There's nothing like that. Just join up and start working out. And I'm even going to sell you on being lazy. I know you don't want to think. I know you got a million things on your plate. You got your bratty kids. You got a job. You got your wife to deal with. You got all these things. And women, this program's for you too. You got your bratty kids. You're mommed out because I read this the other day. You're a garbage disposal for all your kids' negative emotions. Like the minute you come in, They don't tell dad they're hungry. They don't tell dad they're hurting. The minute you come in, you're the garbage. Well, they are all over you.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. You're dealing with your stupid husband. You're miserable at your job because you got, as a mom, frankly, you got 9 full-time jobs. You're a mom, you're a wife, you're a caretaker. So listen, whoever you are out there, you just want to work out and you don't want to think. You just want to open the app. You want to open up your little phone. You just want to get down to business. You want to get it done in 30 to 40 minutes and you want to be finished.
Well, and I'm gonna even rephrase that whole sales pitch and just say it's just fun. It's good for you. It's fun. It's engaging. It's easy to make it a habit. Just try it out and you'll see.
And it's not easy in terms of effort, but it's simple.
It's easy. It's easy. We make it as easy as possible to show up every day.
You log in, there's little how-to videos, voiceovers. It takes you through step by step and you just get stuff done and you are finito. Did I say that right, Joe?
I mean, let's get into linguistics here. We can go on for a while.
I don't know, dude. You're the one that bought the Rosetta Stone and is like trying to talk like Super Mario.
I'm trying to learn Italian. Yeah.
All right, guys. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you next week for the next episode.